Hey friends, in today's video, we are going to be removing these running boards from this Nissan Xterra. It's a very simple process. Let's walk through it right now. Okay, now obviously this is a personal preference thing. Some people really like having these running boards. Helps them step up into the cab, maybe use this as a little extra height to reach the roof rack. For us, this actually gets in the way. This is my wife's vehicle, and this is just encumbersome for her to have this in the way instead of jumping straight into the cab. So again, we're just going to be removing them today. They're only basically bolted onto the chassis, or basically the metal body of the SUV here, by a few bolts. 2 bolts in the middle, 2 bolts on the side here, 2 bolts in the back. Now to remove those bolts, we are going to need a ratchet with a 1/2 inch adapter here, and basically that is going to be it to loosen those bolts up. We're also going to be using a headlamp today just so we can see a little bit better. And then as you can see, I've got this pad that I laid down just to keep things a little more comfortable while I'm sliding underneath the vehicle. Okay, quick disclaimer here. Basically, we're going to be removing the bolts, and then this thing is going to be free to fall down. Now, this is not a very heavy piece, but it can fall on you and cause injury. So again, this is not an official tutorial by any means. Use your own risk. We're only doing this, again, to show you the process that we go through to remove these things. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and get our headlamp on and get underneath the car here to take a look. Okay, so I'm going to lay down here on the pad, and then I'm going to bring you up and underneath the vehicle here. And as we slide in, we are going to be met here with the bottom of the car chassis, including the places where these runners bolt on. So as you can see, I'm looking at the middle one right here, and you can see those 2 screws. I'm gonna look down the line there, and as you can see over this direction, we've got 2 more bolts right there. We've got the 2 nuts that basically come off. As you can see, let me get my headlamp straight on there so you can see those guys. And then we have a couple right over here. This is the back. So we can start with the back first. Again, I'm just gonna grab my ratchet, and I'm going to come in here and just get on those, make sure we're in the loose position. Okay, and we're gonna go lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, obviously. And we're just gonna start loosening those nuts off of those bolts. Let's go to one more here. Just gonna loosen that side as well. Again, just for safety reasons, I'm not gonna take these nuts all the way off. We're just gonna leave them finger loose on there at this time. I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all 6 of these nuts here, and then we will slowly remove them one at a time. Again, the bottom ones first to make sure we're being safe. Okay, so now that we have everything loosened up underneath, again, everything's kind of finger tight. At this point, I'm getting out of the way of the runner. I don't want this thing coming down on my chest, obviously. So from here, we can just kind of reach back, and we can go ahead and start with the bottom ones first and just unscrew those. Make sure you don't lose the nuts there. But they just come off just like that. So I'm gonna go along the line here. I'm gonna take off all the bottom ones first, and then we'll go back and we'll take off 2 of the top ones. Okay, so I've actually got all of the nuts off of the bottom bolts down there. We're gonna go after the top nuts now. I'm gonna do the back and the front first. We'll have 1 bolt that's left that this will be hanging on. Now, at this point, you see how we can kind of rock this a little bit? That's really helpful when you're trying to get the top nuts, because you may need to give it a little bit of wiggle room to make sure that the bolt is not pushing up against the nut, creating that really tight fit so you can't get it off with your fingers. So again, just kind of use your hands to get this nice and loose, and then we can kind of go after these bolts down here. Okay, we're on our last nut, and I'm just under here again lifting this up a little bit with my fingers to get that nut off. Here we go. At this point, there's no more nuts holding this on, so I can just push back a little bit and slide those things off of the bolts, and this is gonna come right out. So again, you can see just a little bit of extra reference. The nuts go on this side, obviously the bolts clamp on through here, and that's what holds this whole thing to the chassis. So at this point, we are done. It's mirrored on the other side of the vehicle, and we can go through the same steps. Friends, thanks a ton for watching. Hopefully that was helpful. Again, use some risk assessment. Don't do this in a way that's going to be harmful for you. And subscribe if this is helpful. Hit that thumbs up button. Let's start making good videos. We'll see you again on the next one.